Hey loves, this is Bottoms Up, Life Unfiltered, and I'm your host, Carrie Hamilton. This is a space for the stories that broke us, the moments that brought us to our knees, and the strength we didn't know we had to stand back up. We are not broken. We are breaking through, and with faith, I pray that the messages shared resonate with those who need to know that they will too. Today, it is very common to have children that have split homes, but we must be sure to keep them at the forefront and keep them safe. If you are a single parent and out there co-parenting, this episode today is for you. Psalm 127 states, "Children are a gift from the Lord." The reason I bring this up is because I want to share something personal with you that happened to me as a child, and then a situation that occurred with me as an adult with my own children. I also bring this up because it really is true when they say children are our future. And these children in today's society have faced more trauma than many of us adults throughout our entire life. When we were children, we didn't see someone assassinated on live TV. We didn't go to school knowing that men could be women and women could be men. We didn't hear of half the things that go on in this world in general. And I'm not here to express right or wrong. I'm just stating factual information of what we see today and what we experience today and what our children experience today. I want you to take a second and think of something. I personally myself went through trauma as a child. I never healed that trauma until 3 years ago when I went through an adult trauma. That is when I healed it. So my entire life, that trauma, although it didn't sit at my forefront and I was brought out of that trauma was never brought out of me. So every relationship that I had, every situation, every experience, that trauma sat at the back of my brain. And our minds are built to protect us, to save us, and to react in ways that aren't comfortable with us. And you see, my whole entire life, I wondered why I had relationships that were one-sided. I had abusive relationships, why I put up with things, why I lowered my standards and my beliefs and the things that I deserved. And it was because I never healed that trauma. So what I was told and what had happened to me as a child, I believed that throughout my life, and I structured my life around those beliefs. And why I share this with you is because it is our beliefs now as an adult that you are now putting onto your children. So if you talk to your children in degrading manners, or you press your own beliefs onto them, these children will reflect all of that as adults. This is where we need to stand up to the plate. The major situation right now going on is children are naive, and there's a lot of predators out there that feed on that. And in my time, we were taught basically don't take candy from a stranger, don't talk to strangers. But I'm going to tell you something. From being married to a police officer for over a decade, working in a police station myself, it isn't predators that take advantage of our children. It's the people that lay beside us in our bed. It's the people that we trust to watch our children. It's the people that we call family. It's the people that we call close friends. It's the people that we are vulnerable for, or vulnerable with and to, that do these things to our children. It's sure sometimes happens to be a stranger, maybe someone under the influence and sees a random kid and, they take advantage that way. But majority of the predators that are out here and doing the things that they do are people that know our children almost as much as we do. And that's why I want to address these situations that happened to me in my lifetime and share some things with you. Especially nowadays, it is very common to have co-parenting. Many people are getting divorced these days, and it's a lot of step parents, it's a lot of friends, it's a lot of people that are watching your children so that you can work being a single parent. Those people are the ones you really, really, really need to watch out for, because not everyone is who they say they are. And even if you're in the dating world, you'll know that for a fact just of who you date. But now these people are presenting themselves as genuine human beings, and they are nothing but a monster. And I really, really, really cannot emphasize enough how important it is that you pay attention to your children's behaviors more than trying to preach your beliefs. Because this is what's going to tell you what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I was abused by a stepfather as a child. That was my childhood trauma. And you may think that you know your children well, and your little Johnny and little Susie are going to tell you everything, and they'll say whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, no, they won't. Because they also know you as their protector. And they know that if they open their mouth about what is going on with them behind the scenes, behind your back, that there will be consequences. There will be things that will be addressed. And these predators pray and preach how things will be worse if they say something. And knowing what they face day after day in the secret, behind the scenes places that they do, the things that they do to these children, the children are scared to tell you, because again, they know you as the protector. So please, please, be aware of who you bring by your children. And keep an eye on the behaviors of your children, because that speaks volumes. Words are only words, but actions say a lot. The monster stepfather that I faced as a child was so nice in front of our mother's face. He acted like a father should in front of her face, so she would never know. But behind closed doors, that's where the abuse was. That's where the fear was implanted. And even sometimes he would give us things to make us happy, like a new toy, or bring us to McDonald's or something like that to make our day, if he knew that we were going to be by family or somewhere that we needed to actually be more in high spirits than in fear of what was going to happen next. And that's exactly what the predators still do today. They act very nice to your face so you think that they're a totally different person. And with your children, they're mean, they're cruel. They say things that are horrible. They're sexually abusive, they're physically abusive, they're mentally abusive, psychologically abusive, emotionally abusive. They do all of these things. And then, if you don't have that child healed by going through therapy and talking about these situations, the child becomes an adult like myself. And I fell victim to a narcissist, because that's exactly what they do. They love bomb and then they abuse, and then they love bomb and they abuse. I knew that the abuse wasn't right, just like I knew when my stepfather abused me that it wasn't right. But you become an addict to those highs and lows. It's called trauma bonding, and it's releasing chemicals in your brain that become habitual, and that's the only way you know to function. So when you're with someone like that as an adult, you stay in those situations again, out of fear, out of the trauma bond, out of the addiction. And you fall for those individuals because that's the comfort zone, even if it's uncomfortable, and that's the healthy zone, even if it's unhealthy, that you think is love. But really, you were raised to know what love is not, and not what love is. And that's how your children today will be if they're not healed from the trauma that they've been through or the situations that they're put through from just everyday life and what we see outside of life and the exceptional things that go on in this world, all the messed up things. This is all psychological effect on these children. And we are being forced to think that it's okay and to make it a belief of ours, even if we don't believe it. I really highly suggest that you keep an eye on the behaviors of your children, because I'm pretty sure they are affecting individuals more than you know. And this is the same thing within their home. What you preach and your beliefs as an adult. Are you preaching them out of what you were told from your parents? Or is it really a true belief that you feel in your heart? Is it more just a comfort? Is it something that love is not, and not really what love is? Are you just aiding into a generational belief versus true reality, what your children deserve? I want you to ask yourself that. Those who are out there dating, I ask that you please do not bring women or men that you date by your children until it is at the time that you know it is going to be something forever, and that you've been with them so long that you know that they are the person that they are, and there's not some hidden mask that's going to fall off. And I say this because, first and foremost, it's very unhealthy for your children to have a revolving door of a potential stepmom or woman or stepdad or man, whatever it is that you are and that you date, to be in and out of their lives and having these random adults all over the place, and thinking that they're with their father or with their mother, and then next thing you know it's another person, and so forth. It's very unhealthy to have that in your children's lives. Next is because not everybody is who you think they are. As I said, I have never been one to bring any man by my children, and that is because of my past and what I've been through. That is why I'm extra cautious. But had I not been through that, I don't know, maybe I probably would be bringing people that I date all around my children, even though I haven't dated since my abuser. But in the 6 years, almost 7 years that I've been divorced, my children met one person, and unfortunately that was the one that the mask fell off, and they didn't go by my children, so they were never abused like I was. Once I saw the anger coming on, I refused to bring my children by that person. But anyway, my ex-husband, unfortunately, has had many women around my children, and it does infuriate me. But a specific woman, he moved in his home and never told me until one day my daughter was coming home to my house with scratches on her arms, and lo and behold, it was a cat. And I knew my ex didn't have a cat at that time. And because it was this woman's cat. So this woman befriended me. Totally fine. I don't have any animosity. If this woman is now living in the home with my children, I want a good relationship. You guys, I was bringing this woman in my salon, doing her hair for free. I let her borrow my clothes because they went to some country concert. When I have my summer party with my kids' birthday parties, all of them combined, I invited her. I don't want any bad karma. And to be honest, when I meet Mr. Right and that person now becomes part of my kid's life, I hope that my ex does the same, because there's no reason to have animosity or problems when it's for the health of our children, right? Well, as they say, jealousy is a disease, and it sure is. This woman was acting nice to me, getting her hair done by me, and lo and behold, did I know, it was because she was so jealous of me she was like trying to be me. And I know that sounds insane, and this is not a I'm full of myself, whatever feeling. But one random day, I have this gentleman at my door. And I was actually going to the dentist. I was getting a root canal. But I have a Ring doorbell. And so I answered and I was like, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm Detective Phelps with DCFS." DCFS? I said, "Well, is something wrong?" And he's like, "Well, I need to talk to you." I said, "Well, I'm not going to be home because I was getting this root canal." He said that he would return the next day. Well, the next day he called. He was supposed to be at my home at 7 a.m. And he called saying that he would have to reschedule, that something came up. So then I even called my ex-husband, like, "Hey, did DCFS come to your house? Because I have no idea why they would be at my house. Unless my kids said something and maybe a teacher heard it or something, maybe something that I didn't know." And so I had asked him and he's like, "No, nobody came to my house." I'm like, "Wow, that's weird." So then a week goes by and this guy hasn't called me to make an appointment. So now I'm like, no, I want this guy in my home, right? I don't have anything to hide. You guys see my house. I'm not some, druggie, or this isn't some, drug home or whatever you want to say. And I would never touch my kids, hit my kids. Yes, of course. Do I discipline my kids? Yes, you need to. You need to take their things away. You need to teach them responsibility and so forth. But I've never beat my children ever, because I have been beaten in my life, right? So time goes on, and about 2 weeks later, I have a Will County sheriff at my door. I'm like, what the heck? So I answer my door. This time I'm home, and he's serving me with an order of protection from this girlfriend. And I'm like, what? And so I call my ex-husband. I go, "Why is your girlfriend putting a restraining order on me?" He's like, "What? You're kidding. You're joking, right?" Well, now, of course, this was right at the same time that I was escaping my abuser and going through all that narcissistic abuse and all that stuff. So I thought maybe my ex was in on it and he was playing dumb, Mr. Dummy, trying to get my kids away because of this abuser that I was escaping from. So I thought maybe he was doing some secret behind the scenes thing with her and making this fake restraining order or whatever to get my kids away, thinking that I was bringing them by this abuser, and I wasn't. So of course now I'm not being nice to even my ex-husband, which him and I never have animosity. We don't have drama. We get along. We co-parent well. But now I'm mad, right? Because I'm like, this has to do with my kids. Who's putting these fake reports out there? And he was blaming my abuser. I'm like, there's no way, because my abuser at that time was going in court trying to say that I was the one abusing him and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, really? They're looking at me right now. There's no way that he would just go and do this, because he already is having this court case going on. He's not going to add this to it. It looks too suspicious. So I was like, as much as I would love to blame him, because that would be easy, I just knew in my heart and intuition that there's no way it wasn't him, right? Now, when they say a mother's intuition tells all, it's true. You guys, every single mother once shared the same heartbeat with their child. When their child was in that womb with that mother, that heartbeat, it's like a twin. You know how they say when you separate the twins, they want to sleep with each other and so forth? You basically are like a twin with your own child. So any child can walk into a room and sense their mother's emotions. This is why I emphasize to people that are in marriages that are hostile or very toxic, and they say, I'm staying for the kids. I always tell them, please don't do that, because your kids don't even have to ask their mother what's wrong or whatever. They can just sense wow, mom's mad, mom's sad, mom's whatever. And then adding that toxicity, again, you're teaching your kids what love is not and not what love is. But anyway, so now this sheriff is giving me this restraining order. I call my ex, he knows nothing about it. They do this 3-week emergency order, and then you go in 3 weeks to court. So my ex calls me the day before court, and he's like, there's no way she's going to show up. Like, this is all fake. Like, clearly she's dumb. Like, she put, like, that I said I was going to kill her in a text message. But yet, I'm like, she's an idiot because she said it was, like, let's just make up a day, the 17th of March. And here I had her March 31st in my salon chair. So, like, everything that she said in there, I had something to show her, either texting me, being a nice guy, in my salon chair, so forth. So now I know there's something being set up. Well, again, from my past, I started paying attention to my children's behavior. The school started contacting us, telling us that their grades are getting bad and like they're missing assignments. And then my daughter, she was very on edge. I would tell her to brush her teeth and she'd be like, I'm coming. And I'd be like, oh my God. I remember actually calling my mom because my daughter was only like 8, I want to say 7 or 8. And I remember calling my mom being like, do like girls get their menstrual cycle like this early in life? Like, I mean, I haven't really heard of anyone like under the age of like 10 or 11. Like, I mean, 7, 8, like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone that young. And I may be wrong, but at least not in my family. And my mom's like, that's no. So that's when I really knew something was up. So now I have my Inspector Gadget hat on, right? Well, it was no more than a week later, I get a call from the school, and my daughter had fainted in school. Whoa. So we end up in the ER, and next thing you know, we have to see her pediatrician, we have to see a cardiologist, we have to see, all these tests, all these things, because, I thought maybe diabetes runs in my family, runs in my ex's family, so I thought maybe that was it. All that checked out fine. Something told me I need to get my kids in counseling because the school counselor is who I told about my abuse, because I wouldn't tell my mom because I knew that if I did, I would get, worse than what I was getting. So right away, I put my kids in counseling. Sure as shit. The counselor even gave me a letter. This girlfriend was abusing my children. And what she was trying to do was, knowing that she put a fake DCFS report, she wanted to try and get a restraining order on me as well, because in case, even though she did it anonymously, quote unquote, which I'll show you, her name was on there and they told on her basically because they were so mad of the things that she put in there, and they were like, here, this is who did it. So I have her name and everything on this report. But because she did this DCFS report and wanted this, restraining order and everything, it was like she was so jealous of my ex-husband and I having a good co-parenting relationship with no drama, no craziness, that she had to cause this craziness to like break us apart and to cause commotion. And then knowing that she put this fake DCFS report on here, she wanted to try and put a restraining order on me so that when I did find out, I didn't come after her or, whatever. And lo and behold, like I said, 3 weeks later, I went. They were like, they didn't even let me talk, you guys. They were like, I'm not honoring this. This is like, you have a problem with, it's a boyfriend, girlfriend thing with an ex-wife. You guys have whatever. This is not a civil matter. Like, you guys need to figure out your differences, blah, blah, blah. Like, they didn't even let me talk. They were like, I'm not honoring this. And she's so wacky. She was like, well, you're going to be in trouble because she's going to murder me. And like, the judge knew at this point that she was a clown. And the judge was like, well, murder's not in my courtroom, so you won't see me, So clearly he was like laughing at her in her face. But so where I'm going with this is that when my kids went in counseling, she wasn't touching them, hitting them. So of course there was no physical marks that I would see or be able to see. But she was doing things like taking this doll and taking my daughter's lunch out of her book bag and putting this doll in there, or not lunch, I'm sorry. She was taking my daughter's at-home folder out of her book bag and putting that doll in there. So when my daughter had to go and put her lunch in there in the morning, this doll was in there to scare her. And this is actually a picture in my ex's bathroom. She was putting it in the bathroom when my daughter would take a bath. She was like putting it in my daughter's room, like totally causing crazy harm to her. My daughter and son both opened up saying that she would scream in their faces and call them swear word names, but just all around emotional, psychological type abuse. And all while, again, when my ex would be working, he trusted her with watching them on his time. Again, acting like this great mom. I mean, she even said to me, which now when I hear this phrase, I want to like slice whoever says it. Not really, but she was like, it takes a village to take care of kids. And like, now I'm just like, when I hear that, I cringe. Like, I'm just like, ugh, because I think of her. But it all worked out in the long run, in a sense, because my ex and I then were able to get a restraining order against her, and she was kicked out of his home and not allowed to be by any of us anymore, which is great on that aspect. But my daughter now, we saw a cardiologist. They said, nope, her heart is good. So then they referred us to a neurologist, and the neurologist had diagnosed her with vestibular cranial migraines. And what it is basically the reason she was fainting, and she ended up fainting like 7 times in this process of us trying to detect this medical, issue. Her brain was basically from the abuse. It was trying to compute too many emotions at one period in time. So her brain just shuts down and like makes her faint. So now she has to be on medication. She still is under, till this day, and this was about 3 years ago, she's still under neurological care, and still takes medicine every single day for her brain to help her like compute different emotions. So it is long-term type stuff. But I'm giving this story and I'm telling you guys because co-parenting and split homes is so common, and the abusers aren't strangers. The abusers are people that you know and that you trust. You really, really need to make sure that you watch the behaviors. If your kids' schoolwork is declining, if they're acting short-circuited, if they're acting, defensive over little things, if obviously they have medical issues, please dissect those little babies of yours as hard as you can, as much as you can. And like I said, what worked for me is when I finally saw like my school therapist, I told them my abuser, and then this one I put them in a counselor and they told that way. So if you're seeing this stuff at home or with your ex, please get them into someone that they would open up to, or that can open up to, because there may be more than what you think, and it may not be the issue that you think it is. And now, fast forward 3 years later, my daughter doesn't like going to my ex-husband's house. He doesn't have a new woman in there. He's not living with someone else. It's just my kids and himself, obviously on the days that they're there. But my daughter has such anxiety going by her dad's now. And it breaks my heart because he is a good father. And he didn't actually end up knowing any of this because she was doing it behind his back. But, it's not her safe place anymore. And that's what you guys have to understand, is that your home is your safe place with your children. If you are vulnerable and you allow animosity, toxicity, bad guys, monsters, if you allow them in your home, even if you don't understand or know that they are who they are, your kids will still put that accountability on you because they're trusting you as their parent on who can be in that household and, who can be in that home. And like I said, our home is our safe space, and we don't allow people in here unless it's someone that we trust and, we are okay with them being here. Now, I'm not talking about like some huge family party. Like, of course, if your uncle's over and he ends up being someone and it's like a huge, entirely massive party, that's kind of different. But obviously, if this uncle is someone that watches them every day and they're acting weird, and now that uncle has alone time where it's not like a big, huge family party, that he obviously isn't going to do stuff where multiple people and eyes are all around. that's when you want to make sure that they're not alone and that you have the right people in your home that are under the care with your children, and alone, in alone closed areas with your kids. And thankfully, with this DCFS stuff too that this woman had done, the school actually got involved, the social worker with the DCFS caseworker, and they did extensive, I say interrogations, that's what I call it, because it really is like interrogating them. With these children. And I mean, even the principal detected it, her coming to the school and stuff like that. So I guess even the principal was like, oh, we were on it already. And so when we saw DCFS come here, we were like, oh, well, hey, we saw this lady acting crazy. The girlfriend, she would even act crazy at my kid's school, like swearing and stuff like that. And so they were actually kind of already watching. And I guess my daughter would go to school almost every day crying. I didn't know that. They were already watching what was going on, at home and stuff like that. So I actually ended up giving the principal a honorable reward too at a district meeting, because he helped open my eyes. I mean, he called me and he was like, listen, I saw this lady too, acting crazy. And so, and this was before, obviously, the DCFS came back to my home to clear my home out and stuff like that. But you guys, DCFS came here with literally their guns drawn, because she said that I was abusive to police officers. I was married to one for 10 years. Are you kidding me? You think he wouldn't have turned me in? But, and my sister said, oh, your house is the Taj Mahal. They're not going to find anything. And I was like, it's not about them finding anything. I know what the truth is. The truth is the truth. But you guys, they came in here, guns drawn. That's not something that happens every day in my home. They had to take pictures of my kids and my dresser, closets, my food pantry, my refrigerator, because she was saying I'm not feeding my kids, I'm not bathing my kids. My kids are spoiled rotten. Okay, they have more than they really should, and it's almost a sin for the stuff that they have that we could probably help other children out. And I mean, we give to Goodwill and stuff. But anyway, but yeah, so, and because she said I was a drug addict, I had to sit at my kitchen table with this DCFS person and my children, and I had to do this surprise drug test. And it was this long cotton thing that had to sit on the side of my mouth, and there was a vial that had everything. I mean, from meth, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, things I've never even heard of, a drip or something like that. I mean, stuff that I've never even heard of, half of these things. And I mean, and they were interrogating me. They're if any of this is positive, your kids are gone now, today. They were not nice in the beginning until they obviously started seeing the true colors. But they take that stuff seriously. It's not you can just say that about somebody's home and they're gonna just bypass it. No, they came in here I was a hardcore drug addict, abusive to law enforcement, psychopath, horrible mom, and did this stuff in front of my children. That's traumatic. That's horrible. It takes a special person to do bad things to children. Let's just put it that way. And you know what I mean by special. But anyway, yes, please, if you are in a home that your children are in separate homes with parents and you guys have step parents and dating and all of that, please do not bring all the people that you date to your children. Make sure you take the time to know they are exactly who they are. Please make sure you ask questions, check out the behaviors, all of that, because our children are our gifts. And there is no handbook to parenting. I know that for myself, I knew that I had to keep them fed and keep them alive, keep them, healthy. But in the end, I will say that I know God gave me children because realistically, they're the ones that keep us alive. And so I hold them now at the highest treasure of anything that I own or anything close to me in my life. My kids are my life. They're the reason that I breathe every single day. And I will never, ever allow anyone that close to my children ever again. And that goes for my ex's household too. Sure, I may not be there, I may not live there, I may not be, one to tell him how to live his life, but it's not going to be easy with women anymore, especially moving in. You betcha I'm going to make sure that I have a blood sample. No, I'm kidding with that. But do your homework, please, because these children are our future too. And if they grow up like that and thinking that that's normal and that's the habitual life they live, we all are going to live it someday, because those people one day become adults and they're going to think it's normal to act that way and to be that way with others. Much love.